How did Derby County maximise new signing Patrick Agyemang? That's a question on the lips of many Derby County fans, especially after his recent performances in a position that we didn't anticipate that he would be playing this season. Now, ultimately, Patrick Agyemang has had a decent start to life at Derby County, picking up his first goal at home a couple of weeks ago, and ultimately picking up a few assists as well on his travels. Now, obviously, for Derby County, they're aiming to maximise their profits on Patrick Agyemang, but they're only going to do that if he scores goals and gets involved in the attacking play. How are they going to maximise him? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. But shall we talk about it? If you have not done so already, check out the links down in the description. We're trying to hit 50 subscribers on the gaming channel so that I can live stream FC, Football Manager, and all things like that. So make sure you go and subscribe over there, and I'll catch you in one of the live streams soon. Now, Patrick Agyemang's move to Derby County was a very spoke about move during the summer. It was a big fee for Derby County, worth over around £6.5 million. And ultimately, Derby County beat Ipswich Town to the transfer of the 24-year-old American. Now, Patrick Agyemang, for me, has had a really good start to life at Derby County. Don't get me wrong, there's a few things that he needs to work on, and he certainly needs to understand the physicality of the English game, but he's definitely heading in the right direction. Now, since a recent move out to the left-hand side, he has become an absolute powerhouse for Derby, but how will that continue? Now, we're going to discuss what John Eustace can do and all things like that in this video. So if you haven't done so already, hit the like button and let's get into it. Now, Patrick Agyemang, for me, is a very, very good player, and he has a lot of power within those legs and within that body, and ultimately he's just got to learn how to use it correctly. Now, over the course of the last game and a half, he's been playing on the left-hand side of a front three, of which Derby County have moved into a 3-4-3 system. My apologies. And for me, I think that since going out to the left, I think he's been much more effective for Derby County. I think that ability to drop in and pick up the ball and stand up his man and break down the line, I think has been absolutely huge for Derby County. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still ways that he can improve. At 24 years old, he's not the finished article, and ultimately he's only had, a couple of years in senior football after getting drafted from the collegiate process over in the US of A. But for me, this is a massive opportunity now for Derby County to sort of maximise the talent that they have in front of them. And for me, having a 6'4" player that has the pace and power that he does and the ability to play on that left-hand side and cause problems with the ball at his feet and also with the ball in the air, I think is absolutely impeccable. Now, don't get me wrong, he could probably have 3 or 4 goals already this season, and his finishing has got to improve 100%. But ultimately, the fact that he's been in those positions has been absolutely unreal. And the fact that he's created those chances for himself a lot of the time has been absolutely unreal. Now, don't get me wrong. He could get better. He's always going to be able to improve. And I think I look at a player like Haji Wright as a sort of comparison for where I'd like Patrick Agyemang to be in the next few years, and hopefully with the right management from John Eustace and the coaching team at Derby County, he will get the opportunity to hit those sort of levels. Now, don't get me wrong, I know it's always going to be a tough conversation and a long conversation to have that about a player like Patrick Agyemang, but ultimately he's a very, very talented individual and one who certainly has the ability to break the boundaries of the championship. Now, I believe that if he can get together his ball control, and if he can start putting the ball in the back of the net, he is easily a £15-20 million striker and easily someone who will go and play in the Premier League. Now, ultimately, they are two huge things that need to be improved, and they are the most important things for a striker, in my opinion. Being able to stop the ball, being able to sort of know what you're doing with the ball at your feet. That's so important for a striker to be able to do those things in order to catch defenders off guard. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, he's not the finished article. He's still developing. He's still understanding English football. And I think he's discussed it himself in regards to the physicality of the league. But ultimately, until he figures that out, we've got a huge problem on our hands, because he is very good and you can't really not have him in the team. But ultimately, there's certain periods of time where he sort of makes mistakes. But obviously, everybody makes mistakes. You can't sort of pin all the blame on him and sort of attack him for anything, because ultimately he is a very good player and he is certainly learning and developing towards what we need at Derby County, and obviously he's aiming to get to that World Cup squad for next summer. And as we sort of edge closer to the January window and things like that, not that he's going to be moving on, but the better team that we have, the more opportunities that we can create for him is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And I genuinely believe over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, I think he can become a 20 goal a season striker in the Championship, if he even lasts this long in the Championship, because he has that ability, he has that prowess to cause some real problems at Derby County and become a real problem for the Championship. And honestly, I think if we look at a player like Haji Wright, for example, from Coventry City, it's just that ability to be able to pop up with those goals and score some really, really nice chances. Now, it's interesting I mentioned Haji Wright because he didn't actually score today, but across the course of this season, he's got 8 goals in 10 starts, which is absolutely unreal. He's got 40 goals in 94 appearances for Coventry City. Obviously, he's an American as well. He's 27 years of age, but he didn't really start scoring big amounts of goals until the 2020-21 season, which was around 5 years ago. So he'd have been 22, 23 years of age. He scored 13, then 15, 16, 19 back in 23-24, 12 last year, and he's already on 9 this year. So a very, very good season for him. And that's sort of the direction in which I want to see Patrick Agyemang go. Now, do I think he's going to score 20 or so goals from left wing? Absolutely not, don't get me wrong. But so far, in 5 starts, 3 assists and 1 goal, I don't think you can complain. Now, at 24 years old, he turns 25 in a couple of weeks' time. There's obviously a lot of development for him still to do, and he's going to have to find that sort of balance between being a threat in the air and with height and things like that, and ultimately sort of being able to make himself a goal threat. And that's what I think Derby County need him to be. We need him to be that goal threat, but ultimately we need him to be that goal threat from a wide area, because Derby County haven't really had any high scoring wingers since, I think you look back at Harry Wilson, you look back at Tom Ince. They're the last sort of high scoring wingers that we had at Derby County, and we haven't really had that for a long, long time. Don't get me wrong, Mendez-Laing in League One was very, very good, but ultimately I don't want to put Mendez-Laing in the same sort of bracket as Patrick Agyemang, because ultimately completely different levels. And I think Agyemang has been so much better over the course of his 5 starts than Mendez-Laing was for the entirety of last season. And that's sort of the position we find ourselves in. Now, hopefully, John Eustace can maximise what we have with Patrick Agyemang, and then he can also get the best out of players like Carlton Morris, Lars-Jørgen Salverson, so on and so forth. But ultimately, it's going to take time to make those decisions and ultimately get the best out of these players. Now, obviously, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments if you have not done so already. Check out those links down in the description. We're trying to hit 50 subscribers on the gaming channel, because if we do, we can then live stream gaming and stuff like that over there. So if you haven't done so already, go and subscribe to that channel. Even if you don't want to watch the gaming content, please go over and subscribe. It obviously really helps the algorithm and things like that, and I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you for watching though, and I'll catch you in the next one.